information on the weekend's deadly shooting in downtown New Orleans, what we're learning about the alleged shooter, and an update on the victims.
Plus, bystanders rushed to save a woman trapped in this fiery crash.
We need to see that there's still modern-day heroes out here.
We'll speak with one man who pulled the driver to safety and why the man who hit her faces charges.
We'll have these stories and more coming up next on PAC News.
Stay with us.
Good afternoon, I'm Tyler Wan.
And I'm India Yarbrough. We've got big storms rolling into the Crescent City. Andrew Callahan joins us now with the latest. Andrew, it sounds like it's going to be a busy afternoon.
Oh yeah, it definitely will be. We have storms heading our way that are expected to dump quite a bit of rain over our area for the next few days. I'll tell you just how much rain we can expect coming up in our forecast.
New information on the alleged gunman who fired on police in downtown New Orleans over the weekend.
Let's go live to Kelly Sanchez with the latest.
Tyler and India, police now know that the alleged gunman is 32-year-old Reginald Bursey. He has a previous criminal history, and police say he was part of a gang in Texas. On Sunday night in a busy downtown area, 5 bystanders were caught in the crossfire between police and the gunman. Police say they were pursuing Bursey for an alleged armed robbery when Bursey allegedly fired on an officer, who police say then returned fire.
5 individual innocent bystanders were struck during this gunfire exchange. The uniformed officers attempted to engage the individual for questioning. At that time, the individual then pulled their weapon out and began firing at our uniformed officers.
Bursey did end up dying in that shootout. Police say it's not clear right now if the bystanders were shot by him or the officers, but all of them are recovering and 3 of them are now out of the hospital. The mayor has reassured residents and visitors that New Orleans is far from the Wild West. Our city sleeps under protection of an interconnected web of law enforcement agencies whose effectiveness is on display every day. Tyler and India, back to you.
16 states, all but one of which are led by a Democratic governor, have filed lawsuits challenging President Donald Trump's declaration of national emergency. The suit was filed Monday evening in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California. California Attorney General Xavier Becerra is leading the effort. The Trump administration already faces a host of lawsuits over the national emergency declaration. Over the weekend, the Center for Biological Diversity, Border Network for Human Rights, and the American Civil Liberties Union all announced lawsuits. At the core of each lawsuit is the argument that Trump is using the emergency declaration to circumvent Congress.
Senator Bernie Sanders is throwing his hat into the presidential ring for a second time. The Vermont senator and self-described Democratic socialist announced this morning that he will seek the Democratic presidential nomination in 2020.
Will you stand with me as part of a million-person grassroots movement which can not only win the Democratic nomination, not only win the general election, but most importantly, help transform this country?
Analysts say Sanders entering the race likely makes him an early frontrunner, but he also faces a more crowded field than he did in 2016. In addition to Sanders, 10 major Democrats have either announced their candidacy or formed exploratory committees, and several others are considering bids. In 2016, Sanders finished second to Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination, following a spirited campaign battle.
New evidence suggests that actor Jussie Smollett orchestrated his own attack. 2 law enforcement sources told CNN that Chicago police believe Smollett paid 2 men to orchestrate the assault. The Empire Star said he was attacked last month by 2 men who were yelling out racial and homophobic slurs. He said one attacker put a rope around his neck and poured an unknown chemical substance on him. 2 brothers were arrested Wednesday, then released without charges Friday after Chicago police cited the discovery of new evidence that shifted the trajectory of the investigation. During an interview with Good Morning America, Smollett expressed frustration at not being believed.
A report in the New York Times says the Vatican maintains secret guidelines for priests who father children despite their vows of celibacy. Vincent Doyle, a man whose father was a Catholic priest, told The Times he was shown a document containing the guidelines when he traveled to Rome. The Vatican confirms the document exists, but says it is, quote, internal. A Vatican spokesman said the secret rules ask priests who father children to leave the priesthood and take care of their children. Officially, Catholic priests are required to refrain from any form of sexual activity and live a life of celibacy.
A car erupting in flames and a woman trapped inside. Police say a drunk driver slammed into the back of a car, pinning the driver inside. The crash happened Monday morning on Airline Highway in St. John the Baptist Parish. Mark Armstrong reports.
4 men endured whipping flames and intense heat to save one stranger trapped inside her burning car.
She had seconds left. It was touch and go for a second. I really thought I was about to see that lady die.
24-year-old Jeremy Zerang of Prairieville had his Monday morning commute transformed into a heroic rescue.
EMS and fire en route, supposed to have somebody trapped.
Wearing the orange coat here, he leapt into action moments after this devastating crash on Airline Highway in Garyville.
Hit her hard enough to shove her under the dump truck, and that's when both of them caught on fire.
A 41-year-old woman from Prairieville stopped at a traffic light was rear-ended by a drunk driver at high speed just after sunrise. Using a fire extinguisher, rescuers broke the driver's side window and suffered burns, pulling the woman out.
It burnt one guy's face and his eye, so I put my hood on because it was heating my face up. Basically, when we broke the glass, it was in her back seat already.
St. John survived. Everybody's outside the vehicle right now.
I mean, that's heroism right there.
44-year-old Anita Haley of Garyville shot the video from her car as the rescue was underway.
Keep in mind there's a neutral ground right there, and then I was on the opposite side of the street on the shoulder. So if I could feel the heat, imagine what they felt.
After the rescue, the woman was transported to an area hospital with moderate injuries along with the man who allegedly rear-ended her. 22-year-old Richard Preston was released Monday and booked into jail for DWI and felony negligence. As for the rescuers, Haley says there's an even greater title they deserve than just Good Samaritans.
When I saw how he was frustrated in trying to get the window burst and trying to get her out of there, I'm like, I need to video this. People need to see that there's still modern-day heroes out here.
And Zerang says he's just happy there were others there to help.
I don't know any of them, but I couldn't have done it without them. No matter how hard I was trying, I couldn't have done it without any of them.
And the people we saw in the video weren't the only Good Samaritans out there. There are also several people who carried the man accused of causing this inside a nearby business after he leapt out of his vehicle into the ditch. And Jefferson Parish is under a boiled water advisory. We'll tell you everything we need to know next.
Plus, what preparations are underway right now for Mardi Gras.
Action!
In Jefferson Parish, a boil water advisory is in effect. The parish's water department says it's a precautionary measure, but urges residents to boil tap water until the advisory is lifted.
And we have reporter Yuri Aguma telling us how New Orleans celebrates Black History Month.
There are many ways to celebrate Black History, but here at Audubon Zoo, they celebrate it with music. Audubon Zoo hosted Get Ya Praise Done, a live gospel music event on the weekend. Get Ya Praise Done hit its 11th anniversary this year.
The event was created to bring the faith-based community together with the Audubon Nature Institute.
People who visited the zoo enjoyed music under the sun with their families.
It was marvelous.
Good. So good.
Gospel musician and pastor Jay Reed is a longtime participant of the event.
It is so important. It's so important that musicians, of course, understand the importance of how music, again, help people to triumph throughout the years.
Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office Band of Excellence brought brass band music to the stage.
The great thing about music is that it can bind us all together, regardless of our differences.
This is Yuri Oguma, PAC News.
With Mardi Gras less than a month away, the float designers at Mardi Gras World are kicking it into overdrive. Reporter Ryan Micklin gives us a look at what the folks are doing at Mardi Gras World right now.
The warehouse at Mardi Gras World is buzzing as we get closer to carnival season. Painters like William and papier-mâché artists like Jessica are putting in 56-hour work weeks, making sure that every prop gets finished.
And then it's really cool to sort of have the inside backstage look at how Mardi Gras is created. It's really neat. I never knew it.
Bobby described the prop making process in 3 steps. First, a prop gets a wooden base, and then the prop is surrounded and sculptured out of styrofoam.
Here's a fun fact for those of you who aren't familiar with how things work here at Mardi Gras World. Nothing gets thrown away here. In fact, most of the pieces are made out of styrofoam, like this one behind me. So props that look like something one year can be easily modified to look like something different a year later.
The prop is then covered with papier-mâché so that it can be painted.
It has a smoother surface, so you don't see one material to another. It creates like a seamless piece when the painters paint it.
The designers go through this 3-step process and manage to pump out 10 props a week.
Go to Mardi Gras, man. It's a lot of work went into it. Enjoy it. I don't know. It's for the people, and that's at the end of the day why I do it.
Eventually, finished props are brought onto the floats at the back of the warehouse. And as we get closer to Mardi Gras, the number of floats ready to hit the parade routes are starting to grow.
Ryan Micklin, PAC News.
And we're currently tracking storms. Will your evening be a washout? We'll have the answer for you in a couple minutes.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds.
Anyone can do that.
So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people
Check, check.
in the eye.
Am I
He wasn't
heard?
trying to be mean. It just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
As you can see, it's a pretty gloomy day out here. We're at 90% humidity with 16-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from the east. We can expect some heavy rainfall tonight, which should slow down around 8 p.m. Now, if the rain does stop, we can expect a high of 67 degrees. It's going to be a crisp and clear night. Now, looking forward to our 7-day forecast, we can expect more heavy rainfall in the upcoming days. So if you're planning on going to Mardi Gras parades this Saturday, like the crew of Ferret or the crew of Pontchartrain, definitely bring an umbrella. Saturday has an 80% chance of precipitation. Back to you guys.
Ball is moving up in the polls. Eric Brown joins us to tell us more about where they stand.
Topping sports news, the LSU men's basketball team moved up in the AP polls to number 13 after winning over number 5 Kentucky. LSU is now tied for first in the Southeastern Conference with an 11-1 record. LSU takes on Florida in the PMAC tomorrow. Here at home, the Loyola men's basketball team plays Dalton State and Georgia on Thursday, and on Saturday, both the men and women team take on Martin Methodist in Tennessee. Also, the Loyola cheer team travels to Omaha, Nebraska for regionals on Friday. The 68th annual NBA All-Star Game was played on Sunday with Team LeBron facing off against Team Giannis. Before the game, both teams honored legends Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki for their careers in their final All-Star game. Both players are expected to retire at the end of the season. The game featured a host of high-flying dunks with defense once again taking a back seat in the game. Team LeBron will take over the final period with Golden State Warriors Kevin Durant taking home MVP honors. The MVP effort by Durant propelled Team LeBron to a 171-160 win over Team Giannis. A college lacrosse player says he's been sidelined indefinitely, all due to the size of his head.
The Wheaton College lacrosse team is practicing for their first game of the season, but at Wednesday's matchup, freshman goalie Alex Chu will watch from the sidelines.
One of the issues for myself is that I have a rather wide head.
19-year-old Chu's head is just over 25 inches around, even with all that hair. The largest certified helmets for college players are 24 inches, and without one, Chu can't play.
Lacrosse is such a big part of my life. It's been hard not playing. This is the longest time since I've picked up the sport that I've gone without playing.
In high school, Chu got a waiver for this helmet, but it's not approved for play at the college level. He and his coaches say they've asked the companies that make helmets to make a bigger one.
I feel awful for Alex, and but you know we have some leads right now that we're working on to try to find the solution to the problem.
It's really difficult, and that's what matters the most to me about just getting back on the field.
Chu is hopeful there will be a solution.
I really do hope that from all of this, I get to play. This is something that I really want. It's something that I've tried really hard to get.
And he says he doesn't blame his dad.
My dad has a pretty big head, similar to mine. Same square shape, I guess.
I'm Alex DePrado, 7 News Night Team.
CNN affiliate WBZ reports at least 2 companies are working to find a helmet that will fit Alex. One company, Warrior, is sending Alex a larger helmet called the Burn for him to try out.
Thanks, Eric. And if you're looking for a furry friend,
we'll tell you where to find one coming up next.
Back to you, Lester.
Thanks, Taylor. And in our final story of the night,
The Maroon has been ranked as one of the top student newspapers in the nation by the Princeton Review.
everyone loves pets, right?
Well, reporter Caitlin Cleveland knows where to adopt a furry friend.
Whether it's a barking dog or a silent dog, they all want a home. North Shore Humane Society can hold up to 200 animals, and Caitlin Seiler says the animals get proper care until adopted.
It really just depends on what people are looking for, what people can handle, what they already have. But once the dog is in our care, we take care of them until they find their forever home.
The adoption starts with an application, and adoption counselor Taylor Peters finds the perfect animal.
It's a really easy process. I think people are really nervous about it, that it's this big thing, like we're gonna judge you very harshly, but like we're all, we're all not perfect, but we love our animals, and that's really what matters.
According to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, about 3.2 million shelter animals are adopted each year. Volunteers, like Carissa Kelsey, socialize with the animals.
These dogs here and at other shelters, they don't have actual homes. They might have at one point, but they don't anymore. They always want a family, and they just want to be loved.
And it's not just dogs. Jessica Strong adopted a cat.
Oh, because there's so many little animals that need homes.
So I'm not sure where she came from. I have to look
The Humane Society is always there to help when people are ready to adopt. Caitlin Cleveland, PAC News.
And the North Shore Humane Society says that you can help by making sure to spay and neuter your pets, microchip your animals, and stay up on vaccinations. And that's going to do it for PAC News.
Thanks for watching.